Someone asked me last night, is Pokemon X and Y worth it? Now much like me, he grew up on Pokemon Red and Blue way back in the day, the first generation of Pokemon, where things were nice and simple. They really were. You caught your Pokemon and you battled them and that was all there really was to it. Now there's berries and there's all these different types and there's just a load of crazy stuff going on, like X Defense and X Attack and all this stuff that if you've missed a few generations of Pokemon, you've really got to get caught up to speed pretty fast. Starting with, if you are a fan of the first generation of Pokemon, there is a lot of first gen Pokemon in this game. In the very first forest you go through, you're coming across Metapods and Weedles and even Pikachus if you're lucky enough to find one, and I was, and it is now in my party, which is awesome. I, at the moment, have a Pikachu in my party. How is that not cool? Plus, when you get to the second town, you run across a guy that gives you a choice of selecting one of the first generation of Pokemon. You have a choice of picking Squirtle, Charmander, or Bulbasaur. So currently I have Pikachu and Charmander in my party. It's fantastic, it feels like I'm back in the day playing Red and Blue, but with the added extra of I'm finding new Pokemon in the wild, Pokemon that I haven't heard of before, Pokemon that I haven't seen before, and they don't look that bad. There are some pretty ridiculous ones, like I've heard there's an ice cream Pokemon that I haven't come across that yet, and I really don't look forward to it if it's in this game. But just the fact that I can see all these old Pokemon that I know and I love and then come across Pokemon in the wild that I don't know, it's like I'm learning, it's like I'm going on this Pokemon adventure for the first time and I want to be a part of that. Now let's talk about some of the new features, obviously starting with the fact that it's in 3D. Now a lot of people have an issue with 3D, they say it gives them a headache, they say it's too much, all this kind of stuff. I kind of agree, the 3D isn't really a problem for me, but something that I really enjoy about this game is the battles are in 3D and certain levels are in 3D. But most of the roaming and the top-down adventure part of it, that's all 2D, that's forced 2D, you have no choice, you can't put that into 3D. Which I think they've done that for a few reasons, but my biggest guess would be people are going to sit down and play this game for hours and hours and hours at a time. And if it was all in 3D, that's just such a huge strain on the battery that you're only going to get 3 or 4 hours of gameplay out of it. With only the battles being in 3D, that probably extends the battery life by double when you're playing the game, and it really doesn't take away from the game at all. If anything, it adds a different feel and a more exciting battle when everything suddenly becomes 3D and your Pikachu is 3Ding the other Pokemon to death. How stupid is PETA, by the way? Did anyone heard about PETA? How they're against Pokemon because it's teaching kids to fight animals? What? For those of you who ever played Pokemon Colosseum or Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness on the GameCube, this game is very reminiscent of those games, except much, much better. Those games weren't fantastic, they left a lot to the imagination, and this game just seems to capture it completely as to what those games tried to be. The game isn't completely top down, it's a little bit pulled down to the side and there's a lot of 3D models in this game. Plus some parts even get pulled down to third person, like when you're navigating your way through a cave and you're taking all these sharp and tight corners and you're bumping into Pokemon in the dark. It's a really nice feel. Now I'd have to say the coolest new feature is the fact that the 3DS does have Wi-Fi. It can connect to the internet. When I first got this game, my friend came around to play Pokemon with me and we battled and we traded and we did all that cool stuff. I was still very much in the mindset of old Pokemon. I mean, the last Pokemon I played was Fire Red and Leaf Green, and if you wanted to trade or battle Pokemon with someone, you had to have them in the same room. You even had to have a cable connected to your Game Boys so you could actually trade Pokemon. Physically, I don't know why that's... Physically, if anyone's seen Friends. It didn't occur to me until halfway through battling with this guy that when he left, we could still battle from his house. We didn't have to be right next to each other. I don't know if I'm just an idiot, but it just didn't occur to me as that being a thing. I could trade Pokemon with someone in Japan. I could battle Pokemon with someone in Japan. I don't know, that's just a really cool feature for me, being someone that's come from the old days of Pokemon. The game does have in-game voice chat, but I don't like it. It uses a 3DS microphone and the quality is very, very poor. Other cool new gameplay features are Mega Evolutions is one of them. I'm not going to delve into that too much because the whole story of X and Y is trying to find out what a Mega Evolution is. I'm not going to go into what that is because, as I said, I don't want to ruin it as it is a key feature in the game, but it sounds fantastic. Some features that I can ruin for you because they're really not that good is the Super Training and the Pokemon Aimi, or Aimi, I believe it's pronounced. Essentially the Pokemon Aimi is... Essentially the Pokemon Aimi is just a way to interact with your Pokemon, and you can stroke it, and I think if the Pokemon becomes more affectionate with you in the game, you can stroke them and you can feed them, and I don't know, it's not really for me. It's kind of cute and cuddly. I see it more as a feature for the kids. You don't have to do it. It's not essential. It's not part of the game as far as I'm concerned. The other thing is the super training. Again, I'm not really keen on this one either. You can make your Pokemon, you can tap a punching bag kind of thing, and your Pokemon punches it in this little mini game, and then it builds up its strength, and you can build up its attack and other things this way a little bit at a time. I believe in just battling your Pokemon and having it grow that way. I'm not sure how much of an effect actually training your Pokemon this way reflects onto the game, as I haven't really used the feature. I really don't think you need to. I think it's a if you want to kind of thing. Not to mention, for a game you're going to be pumping hours and hours of gameplay into. I don't know about you guys, but I spent 350 hours on Fire Red as a kid. So it's going to give you a lot of hours of gameplay. You think about it, I just spent $100 on a game Beyond for the PlayStation 3, which took me 8 hours to finish. Think about other games like Mass Effect. Mass Effect 3 is like a 25-30 hour game. You play it twice, that's 60 hours. That was an $80 game when it came out. This is a $60 game at the most. I paid $44 and it's gonna give me hours upon hours upon hours. I've already pumped in 20 hours into this game and I only have 3 badges. There's 8 and the final 4, then there's catching all the Pokemon. That is hours and hours and hours of gameplay for a very, very small price tag. Now, a lot of people are going out and buying a 3DS or a 3DS XL just to play Pokemon X and Y. Do I think that's a good idea? Yeah, I really do. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the 3DS actually has a great library of games. Fire Emblem, Kid Icarus, Zelda Ocarina of Time, Luigi's Mansion, Mario Kart, Project X Zone, Resident Evil Revelations, Super Mario 3D Land, and even the new Legend of Zelda coming out later this year. That plus Pokemon X and Y and a bunch of other great titles is definitely worth the $200 price tag for a 3DS XL. I just caught my phone as it was falling down. It was like a Spider-Man catch. Console, Nintendo are keeping handheld gaming alive. So a quick recap, the graphics are fantastic. It's a beautiful looking Pokemon game with a fantastic mix of the 3D elements and just the 2D elements. There's a great mix of the first generation of Pokemon and generations of Pokemon in between, as well as the brand new Pokemon. It's a great adventure whether you're looking to capture some old memories, some nostalgia, or even just make some new memories with the new Pokemon. Go on a new adventure. A lot of great new features like Wi-Fi, battling your friends across the globe, or even in the house next door without having to use any messy cables. I know that's been around for a while now, but for me as an old school gamer, that's a great new feature. Newer features like stroking and rubbing your Pokemon and feeding them and training them isn't for me. It might be for the newer age of Pokemon fans. And the price is really realistic for a game that essentially you're going to be pumping a lot of hours into. It's going to give you a lot of hours of gameplay and a lot of hours of fun. Is Pokemon X and Y worth it? Yep. If you're an old school Pokemon fan and you're wondering whether or not to pick up this game, I would definitely recommend you go give it a shot, because I guarantee as an old school Pokemon fan you're gonna love it. If you're a new Pokemon fan, then of course you love it. You probably already have it. If you don't have a 3DS yet, go buy one, pick up this game. While you're there, pick up Ocarina and Luigi's Mansion 2. Put the next Zelda on pre-order, the Link to the Past 2, it's going to be fantastic. I really hope this video was useful to you. If it was, give it a like, subscribe to my channel. I got more videos to come. I do other crazy stuff like Game Quest videos where I go out on the hunt for retro and sometimes even new games. So if you're into that kind of thing, then follow this link here. What is your favorite Pokemon of all time? Let me know in the comment section below, but in the meantime, beat 'em up.